Every single Knicks fan should be rooting for this. I'm going to tell you what that is on today's show as you're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green, and we are presented by Prize Picks. Here at Chat Sports, we have a bunch of different NBA channels. And you know what? I want to prove that Knicks fans are the best in the business. On the Bulls Report, Sixers Show, Celtics Today, and the Miami Heat Report on their last videos combined to get 809 likes. I want to get to more than that on today's show. So, if you want to get back to the NBA Finals and show you're the best fan base, hit that thumbs up icon right now. Yo, what's going on, everybody? As we sit and wait to see who the New York Knicks are going to play in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Detroit Pistons are duking it out, with the Cavs taking Game 5 to go up in this series 3-2. Game 6 will be back in Cleveland, and they will have a chance to close out this series. Why are we talking about that? Because every single New York Knicks fan should be rooting for the Detroit Pistons to go into Cleveland and beat the Cavs and force a Game 7. You might be saying, Marshall, why is that the case? I actually want to play the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I understand that, and I kind of still lean that way. But there is a way that I think would set the Knicks up for more success and still have the chance to play the Cavs. Let me explain this. If this series does go 7 between the Cavs and the Detroit Pistons, that just means there's going to be more rest for OG Anunoby, who did hurt that hamstring back on May 6th. Today is the 15th, I believe, 14th. So it's been 8 days since then. But if the series ends on Friday between the Pistons and the Cavs, Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals will be on May 17th. Which will mean it'll only be 11 days of rest for OG Anunoby. Whereas if it goes to May 19th, Game 1, that would mean there is a Game 7 between Detroit and Cleveland, which would then mean OG Anunoby would have a full 13 days off before Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, essentially giving him 2 weeks off his feet on the training table, rehabbing and getting ready for the Eastern Conference Finals. All signs do point to OG Anunoby being ready to go for Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, and Bagley was first on it. And then yesterday, Shams Charania saying, sources tell me there's an expectation OG Anunoby will be able to play Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, barring a setback. Today, talking about yesterday, took part in portions of practice, like individual and on-court work, and the Knicks are gradually bringing him back up to speed, including him in basketball activities, but the expectation remains and hopes that he will be a go for Game 1. So the more rest for OG Anunoby, the better, and the way for that to happen is for this series to go 7 games. Reason number 2, we just saw it in round 2 against the Philadelphia 76ers. There is a Game 7 hangover. The Action Network wrote this article in May of 2024 saying the NBA playoffs are grueling, and after 7 games against the same team, no matter how thrilling the victory, there tends to be some hangover going into the next series. Going back through the past 36 years of NBA playoff data, there have been 88 instances of a team playing Game 1 of the series after playing 7 games in their previous series. In those games, the teams coming off the 7-game series are 33-55 straight up in Game 1. Teams coming off a Game 7 have been outscored by 402 points combined over the span, an average of a minus 4.5 point differential, and 31 of the 88 teams in this spot have been outscored by double digits. Teams coming off a Game 7 facing a team that did not go 7 games are 16, 30, and 1 against the spread in Game 1 over the last 20 years. And you just have to go back about a week ago where the New York Knicks put a mollywhopping on the Philadelphia 76ers in Game 1 after they had to go 7 games against the Boston Celtics to earn the right to play the New York Knicks. So hopefully that happens, where it will be just 1 day of rest, no matter what happens. If it's Game 6 or Game 7, only 1 day of rest. But if it does go to Game 7, we will see potentially that hangover. We'll talk more about this coming up momentarily. First, though, I got to tell you about our presenting sponsor of today's show, and that is Prize Picks, America's #1 sports pick app. And with playoff basketball going down essentially every single day, the time to get hooked up with Prize Picks is right now. Plus, they're hooking up all the real ones with a new user offer. Play $5, get $50 instantly when you use that promo code HMA. So download the app, create an account, use that promo code HMA, play your first $5 lineup, and you're going to get $50 in lineups instantly. You can use the lineup that I'm rolling with for Game 6 of Cavs and Pistons. I'm taking the more on PRA for Cade Cunningham at 41.5. I think he's going to have a good game. The less on points for Dean Wade. He's been kind of an afterthought this series. Give me the more on points for Donovan Mitchell and the more on rebounds and assists for James Harden. I'm looking for the Stars to have some good games. And then you got San Antonio and Memphis that same night. We're going to six-player power play lineup. We're also going with more points on Anthony Edwards and less on Julius Randle. You can roll with my picks or fade my picks very easily by following me on the brand new social feed feature at @MarshallGreen_. So download the app, create an account, use that promo code HMA, play your first $5 lineup, and then get $50 in lineups instantly. Also, if this series does go 7 games, there will only be one off day in between every game, just like we saw in round 2 of the second round versus the Philadelphia 76ers. You go back to this graphic here, and you see if the series between Detroit and Cleveland ends in 6 games, Game 1 will be May 17th, Game 2 will be May 19th, but then you get 3 off days, 20th, 21st, 22nd, and then you play Game 3 on the 23rd, and then once again, it's 1 game off, 1 day off. Whereas if you play 7, or this series does go 7 games, you literally play every other day for potentially 7 games. That would be awesome. These teams have already played a lot of basketball, and if you're coming off a Game 7, and then you get 1 day off, then you got to play 7 more games in 14 days, that could help the New York Knicks. I mean, the Pistons already went 7 games in round 1, and they have played 10 games since April 25th. They have literally played every other day since April 25th, and it'll be 11 games once we get to Friday. The Cleveland Cavaliers in a similar boat. They have played 8 games since April 29th. It will be 9 games, including a potential games, or it would be actually 10 games if it does go to Game 7. Both those teams have played a lot of games, and if it goes to Game 7, they're going to have 1 day off before Game 1, and then they will have to play every other day for a week plus. Root for a Game 7. That's what we're hoping for. I'm not asking for a cupcake, but I would rather have the path with least resistance to get to the NBA Finals. I'll ask you this question. Who do you want to play in the Eastern Conference Finals? Is it the Pistons? Is it the Cavaliers? Sound off for me in the comments section. I've been leaning towards the Cleveland Cavaliers this entire time, and I think one of the main reasons is you would get home court advantage versus them, whereas the Pistons were the 1 seed in the East, so a potential Game 7 would be in Detroit. I also look at it like this. I think the best player among these two teams is Cade Cunningham. I think Oscar Thompson would be the best defender of those two teams that can match up against Jalen Brunson. So that's kind of why I do lean the Cleveland Cavaliers, and it won't be easy if you play them. I think I would just prefer that. Detroit is also struggling in the playoffs. They end up going 7 games versus the Orlando Magic, and they may have to go 7 games if they want to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. Not going to be easy, but I still think the New York Knicks are in the driver's seat to get to the NBA Finals. Appreciate everybody for clicking on today's show. If you haven't yet, hit that thumbs up icon and give me a follow on social media at @MarshallGreen_.